It's coming in 3, 2, 1. On the air with FDT-TV, the premier West Ham and Arsenal football podcast, brought to you every Monday by Michael Hawes and Ian Varker. Hello and welcome to episode number 18 of season number 2 of On the Air with FDT-TV. As always, I am Ian and I'm joined by Mike, who has got a little bit of a cold. Terrible. But
it's not a cold, it's man flu, mate.
Man flu. Yeah, all right.
You're lucky I'm not on my deathbed.
Terrible. So this week we have had a rather busy week between myself and yourself. And the footballing calendar has also been quite busy as well. But I think up front we do need to say I got married the other day. So I mean, I haven't had a chance to watch much football. I've watched the highlights packages for all of them. I did watch the Aston Villa game against Leicester, which was quite an entertaining game. But that's about it. What about yourself? How much football have you watched recently, Mike?
I would say the same as you, mate, because I was at your wedding. We had a nice meal on a Thursday night when Arsenal lost to Manchester United.
Yep.
Obviously, we've got the Everton game coming up this evening or yesterday, depending on when you're watching this. I saw the highlights of the Chelsea West Ham game. What a game, but we'll come on to that in a minute. It's just been a bit full on, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a little bit mad. So shall we get into very quickly a little bit of a very brief recap, and then we can get into the score predictions, and then we've got a bit of news. Well, actually, we could do news straight off the bat. FA Cup draw has just been done. West Ham are at home to Leeds, which, am I too confident? Don't know. Depends on what mood Leeds turn up in. And whether they got Patrick Bamford playing up front. And Arsenal are away to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that draw. We always seem to do... Now I've said that, we're going to jinx ourselves completely, but we always seem to do all right in the FA Cups where we start off against the lesser teams. I think potential this year to go quite a distance in the FA Cup, obviously depending on who gets knocked out in the earlier rounds. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I do like the FA Cup.
I do. I think the FA Cup is where we see a lot of these sort of the minnows take on the giants, isn't it? And I think Chesterfield have got the biggest draw. I think they are away to someone.
Cool.
It's a Premier League team, so I think that's the biggest draw. I might be incorrect on that, but FA Cup draw out the way, done, sorted. Last week we had two. Well, so as you said, Everton and Brighton. Everton and Arsenal were about to kick off, so we had 3 games. First of all, we had West Ham and Brighton.
West Ham, Brighton. Yep.
Which finished 1-1. Yep. It should have been 2-1. A very controversial VAR decision, which everyone has said is rubbish. I see it for myself. I didn't think you could be offside if the ball was played by the opposition player. So if it's played by Brighton, how can it be offside if you kick the ball onto somebody and it's into your own net? I don't understand.
No idea. No idea.
But hey ho, it should have been 2-1. Very good goal from Brighton with the overhead kick. Now smashed the crossbar. We did have a few chances. Brighton had a few chances and opened us up over and over again, playing very simple football by the looks of it. Not much more I can say about that, really. Next up, we had Manchester United versus Arsenal with Ralph Rangnick's first game in charge of Manchester United.
Yep. Although I don't think he was in the dugout for that one. I think he just turned up for that game, obviously with the whole work permit business and all that, and he just got it at the last minute. A very disappointing 3-2 result for us on this one. We started quite brightly, although I suppose you could say slightly controversial terms. Fred managed to injure David De Gea, Emil Smith-Rowe got on the end of it, slotted it in. After a VAR look, it was decided it was a fair goal. I think it was because the foul wasn't from one of our players or the opposition's players. So it's just one of those things. Manchester United equalised very, I would say, comfortably through Fernando Fernandez, whatever his name is.
Yep. Bruno Fernandes. Yeah.
Thank you. We then saw us go down to Cristiano Ronaldo. Again, looked to be a fairly comfortable goal. Poor defending. I would say possibly a little bit of sloppy goalkeeping. Martin Odegaard then equalised. A bit of a poke in from about 7 or 8 yards, which was good. And then, we give away from hero to zero. I thought it was going to be one of these dodgy VAR decisions. Go down the other end. Ronaldo's in the box, and Martin Odegaard absolutely cleans him out. And I was as I was watching the highlights of it, like, come on, this has got to be like one of these dodgy decisions. And if I think, to be fair, it's one of the most blatant penalties I've seen all season. So, no arguments from me from that one. And Ronaldo doing what he does best, bangs the ball in the back of the net, and we come away 2-1 winners. 2-1 winners, the 3-2 losers. On that one, it's a very disappointing game because I think United, with the disruption that they have, we could have taken them, but also obviously they've got their new manager to impress now to get their guaranteed start. So it's just one of those things. Very frustrating, but we'll move on tonight to the game against Everton.
Yeah, and so if you want to see sort of pre-match analysis of that one, go back and watch last week's podcast because it's actually in there. So that being said, we have 2 games coming up. Obviously, we've already predicted Arsenal Everton. We have West Ham hosting. Go on.
I was going to say, you missed out West Ham Chelsea, mate.
Oh, I did miss out West Ham Chelsea. How did I forget that? Unfortunately, mate, it's like the elephant.
All the wins are coming a blur, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's because I'm not used to being this high up in the table. It's sort of disorientating. I think it just confirms that we are the biggest club in London. I did send our friend Khan a lovely message saying we are massive, as well as my old man, who both on my wedding day were telling me that I was going to get spanked the following day, which didn't happen. What I would say is it was definitely a cross.
Nah, mate, you meant that.
Right, here's the thing, right? The West Ham United group was slating how bad Masuaku was playing when he come on, and he wouldn't get anything right, and then all of a sudden he puts in this cross, and when I watched it, it was like this is definitely a cross, but it's such a bad cross, it goes in, and all of a sudden, as I said, West Ham fans are fickle. He's gone from having the worst game of his life to being a superhero because he's just beat Chelsea 3-2. And as I said, it doesn't matter how they go in, as long as they do go in. And they did, and we are fucking massive. The
reports have come out again. The old satellites have seen it. They've seen it, mate.
So that's what it is, really, isn't it? There's no other way to put it.
When I saw that goal go in, you could see that he proper teed that up for a cross, and I think that's what confused the Chelsea goalkeeper.
Yeah, because he was ready
moving out.
Yeah,
that's it.
Ready to come and gather,
like the weirdest bend on it, and in it goes. Great goal, super.
But yes, I say we're good. We've beaten Liverpool at the same scoreline. We beat Man City, so we've beaten all the teams above us this season. Just sort of having
some coming up. So
what, Burnley? Don't think so, mate. We're already qualified. We're already qualified in Europe. So yeah, the only problem is, well, we'll get into that in a minute. But say, as I said just before, we are away to Burnley, and Arsenal host Southampton. So I don't know which order the game's going.
So Arsenal on Saturday at 3:00. You are on Sunday.
Of course we are, because we're playing Thursday. So go on then, Mike. Give us your rundown on the Arsenal Southampton game.
Again, Southampton are one of those teams that we have got a bit of a checkered past against. I've seen us lose against them. I've seen us draw against them. I've seen them win against them. Luckily, this one is at home. We're playing away tonight. But the thing is with Southampton, right? On their day, they can be brilliant.
Yep.
But on their bad days, they can be really shocking. I don't know how I sit with this one, because we've got a bit of a goal problem, I think is the only way to sum it up. We've obviously conceded quite a few at the start of the season, and we're still struggling to kind of make up that deficit, because whilst we are scoring goals, we are, or I'd say more so just recently, we have been leaking goals as well, and they have been silly goals.
Yeah.
Obviously, just mentioned against Man United. Excuse me. Southampton do have a threat about them. They can score goals. Granted, they are currently sitting, I think they are 15th in the table, on 16 points for 3 wins, 7 draws and 5 losses. So I would say on paper, they could be there for the taking, but it just depends on who turns up to score goals for us. I'm hoping we get a big result tonight, and then we can march on to Southampton on Saturday and get another big result, because we need to get that winning culture back into us. We've had a few bumps in the road, obviously losing against Liverpool and then losing against the Manchester United. And these are games, I suppose, as Arsenal fans, we're kind of expected to win. But it's for those games that we expect to win. Obviously, there was quite a few people going out saying how easy the Manchester United game was going to be, and then we end up losing. So,
Yep.
I think with a sensible head on this, like I said, Southampton can pose a goal threat. They have got a bit of pace in the team as well. I am going to go for a 2-1 win to us on that one.
Ooh. So here's the thing: I looked at that fixture and I thought, 2-2. That was my gut feeling. I've stuck with it because I had a look at the say history of the games and say early history. You won pretty much everything. More recently, been a very mixed bag. I've got a feeling you'll be like 2-1 up, 82nd or 92nd minute. They'll get a free kick just outside the box, and James Ward-Prowse will wallop one in top bins. Just for nick a result. As you said, you pretty much summed it up perfectly. If they turn up on their day, they can be fantastic, but also they do take a kick in once or twice a season, don't they? So yeah, I'm going 2-2 for that one, please.
So that leads us on to Burnley versus West Ham on Sunday.
Yeah, so the way I look at this is Burnley are in bad form. They have 3 wins in all competitions this season. Most of them are in the League Cup. West Ham are massive. That's my second note. However, we may be without Ben Johnson and Kurt Zuma, who have both gone for scans on these today, which will be big losses for us. Seeing that Aaron Cresswell, I think, may be still out after colliding with a post. Bonner's obviously out for the season, so that leaves us with Diop and Craig Dawson, which against Burnley you'd go, okay, the way they play, we should be all right. Left back leaves us a little bit light. So I think we're going to concede in this one, but I do think we've got the prowess to go on and score more goals. So I've gone for 3-2 to West Ham United.
It's pretty similar to what I was thinking. I think, obviously, the run of form that you've been on, even continuing last season, I've said this a few times before, you guys have been incredible since David Moyes has come back. Granted, I think there was a few ropey fixtures to start off with. But once he got his foot in, you can see there's a definite identity. It's like watching the Everton of old. Nice free flowing football, defending well, and can score goals. More importantly, so I can see this being a very comfortable win for you guys. Obviously, Burnley currently sitting at 18th. As you said, they've only won 1 game in the Premier League, drawn 7, and lost 6. They're currently sitting on 10 points. I think another comfortable win for you guys. I think the pressure will start to mount on Sean Dyche. In the coming weeks. He's done an incredible job at the club with a very limited budget. But again, because of his experience, this is not the first time we've seen Burnley in this position. I think he will get them safe again if he's given the opportunity. But I think possibly we've seen the best that he can do at that club. I think he could manage a bigger club and do a really good job of it. But yeah, for me, you comfortable winners 3-1.
Fair enough. Take that. So with that being said, we did sort of skip over. What were our predictions for last week's games? And what are the scores on the doors as they are?
Obviously, the last game is being played tonight, so we'll update that points for next week.
Yep.
But West Ham Brighton, you had 3-2. I had 2-1. Sorry, 1-2. So I thought Brighton were going to nick it on this game. But obviously 1-1. So no points to both of us. For the Manchester United Arsenal game, you had 2-1. I had 1-1. And obviously United come up 3-2 winners, so 1 point to you. West Ham Chelsea, you had 1-1, and I had 3-1 to Chelsea. Obviously, the score was 3-2 to West Ham, so no points for either of us. Just to obviously remind the viewers of what our predictions for tonight are. You've gone for 3-0 to Arsenal. I've gone for 2-0 to Arsenal. But so far, you have 1 point for this week. I have 0. So that does currently put you in the lead on 24 points.
Get in.
But what I'll do is I'll wait till this game's finished and then we'll update the points and stuff for next week's podcast.
What you're quite lucky is that I didn't go with those results the other way around because I got the correct scores just wrong way around. Otherwise, I would have pulled out a huge lead rather than just a point. But I'll take it. A point's a point. And just as West Ham are, I am massive as well. Seen the size of my head. It's all good.
And your neck.
And my neck, yeah. It's
Mate, you've got a neck.
I've got like a 17.5 inch neck. But I'm not the size of a... Yeah.
No, I know you're like a fairly well-built chap. And I don't mean fat because you're quite stocky. But I've never noticed how big your neck is until you showed me, until we were getting ready for the wedding.
Yeah, man.
And I was like, Jesus Christ, you actually have got a big neck.
I've got a head for everything. I've got a fat bloke's neck and a skinny bloke's body. So
come on, I've got like a giraffe neck. Anyway,
for the longest time, my neck was the same width as my head. Like when I was younger. But in other news around football, Newcastle did win their first game of the season. Celebrated like they won a Champions League, taking team photos, doing a lap of honour, all that rest of it. In actual fact, they beat very out of form Burnley 1-0 at home. So, I mean, a little bit overzealous, I think. Will it continue? I don't think so. What do you think Newcastle are going to stay up, or do you still think they're going to go and get relegated into the Championship?
I suppose because we're still, relatively speaking, fairly on in the season, so there's still time that obviously that they could do a job. And if you look at the teams around them, they're kind of in similar positions. Obviously, I'd say with the exception of Norwich, bar the game against Spurs yesterday. But I think that ultimately depends on how well they recruit in January. I know they've come out and said that there's going to be money available to Eddie Howe to invest into the team, but obviously I think their preference is loans, depending on how they do for the second half of the season, because obviously the last thing they want to do is get a gigantic wage bill for
the Championship.
So I think if they do some business, or the right bits of business in January, and see how Eddie Howe comes along over the next games, I think he can keep them up. There's other teams I think I'm more worried about.
I think on paper the teams around them, Newcastle have a better squad, but in the same breath, they've not been able to get results recently, and I think the recruitment will be much harder than everyone thinks, because they can throw money at it, but actually the likelihood is, if it doesn't work, and as we know, lots of players coming into a club all at the same time can cause catastrophic issues, and they're probably likely to be playing Championship football next year. So where's the incentive? If they were sort of mid-table now, I think recruitment will be much easier. But hi ho. Next on the agenda, Mike, And last on my agenda, actually, for things that have happened in football this week, Jude Bellingham, one of our own, former Brummy boy, 18 years old, is now being investigated by the German FA. So he now plays for Borussia Dortmund, who lost to Bayern Munich in quite dubious circumstance. And Bellingham has made comments, and I quote, sorry, give me a moment. He said,
He will quote.
You give a referee that has match fixed before the biggest game in Germany, what do you expect? So what he's referring to there is the referee is Wire, who had a 6-month ban for match fixing in 2005, rejected Dortmund's appeals for a penalty, which was pretty blatant, before giving Bayern Munich a penalty up the other end almost straight away for Matt Hummels' handball, which was dubious, which Robert Lewandowski, of course, scored, giving them the win at 3-2. So it's one of those. He's probably got some credence in it, especially being as how blatant the penalty was. Okay, the handball one, yes, could have been given. You can't deny that it was a soft one, but yeah. And so it really should have finished 3-3 at minimum. But yeah, match fixing. I know a lot of people in football would like to say it would never happen, it can't go on, and this, that, and the other. But obviously, it's happened in Germany, it's happened in Italy. Yeah, FIFA has been done for corruption, Barcelona being done for corruption, Juventus at the minute being done for fraud and corruption. Do you think it's potentially present on a more
global scale?
Yeah, like at the highest level in English football? Do you think it is really a thing, or do you think there's enough systems in place to make sure that can't happen? Because you're never going to get a definitive answer, obviously. But in your opinion,
this is a great question, because it's not the first time, and it definitely won't be the last time that anyone talks about it. And you got to be completely honest, mate. If it's going on at such high levels in other football associations around the world, you can't help but not think it's going on. I mean, there's been some dubious decisions that we've seen in our games, and when I say our games, I mean in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And there always seems to be, as I think we've mentioned as well, this whole big club bias. I think we have a lot more regulations in terms of governing bodies and all that sort of stuff, which are able to look into these sorts of things, or whether they say that they will actually do these sorts of things. We do have, I know what I'm trying to say, but it's not articulating very well. So it's like the Financial Ombudsman Service, the Financial Conduct Authority, all that sort of stuff in the finance industry. We have obviously set up for sporting stuff.
Yeah.
So whilst it gives the impression that there are these governing bodies or governance bodies in place, it goes on. It's got to go on. I don't know how many times we've said it before, even when VAR started coming out. It's this whole money talks and bullshit walks. I would be very surprised if there was nothing going on in the English football.
Mm-hmm.
But I think some people have taken a shady backhander every now and again. I think one of the things that you have to look out for is being able to prove that it's going on.
Yes.
Because I know for the whole Sepp Blatter thing, I think it was being investigated for 2 or 3 years before they even kind of did the dawn raid on FIFA and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I would say most definitely it probably is going on. But it's just being able to prove that it's going on. Because I think as soon as something like that comes out with one of the biggest leagues in the world, I'm not saying...
It takes away the credibility, doesn't it?
Exactly that. Thank you.
Yeah. So
enough of my waffling.
Yeah, no, let us know, obviously in the comments on the YouTube channel, whether you think there is corruption in the English game, and if so, where it's most likely at. And if it's at Liverpool, then you'll agree with me.
Or Manchester United.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't have anything else to actually add to this week. It is very short and sweet.
No, to be honest, I mean, I know obviously you just mentioned there about the Newcastle result. Obviously, I think for a team that's been on a poor run as much as they have been, hadn't won in the Premier League this season.
Yeah,
I suppose it's kind of like the monkeys off the back sort of thing, and I think that's possibly why the celebrations were a bit overzealous. What they need to do now is obviously maintain that going forward for future weeks. But congratulations to them for getting their first win.
yeah, it's good.
And congratulations to Eddie Howe.
Yeah, it may be the only victory of the season. But until next week, I've been Ian.
I've been Mike.
Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and we will see you next week.